She's going to talk about what she sees in corporate America, about how wealthy people raise their kids. Let's see what she has to say, and I'll give my thoughts as we go.
These are some things my wealthy colleagues do to set their children up for a good life. A lot of them hire nannies who are bilingual or multilingual, so that pretty much from the minute the kid is born, they're being spoken to and they're learning a different language. So that nanny will speak to them only in, let's say, Spanish, while their parents talk to them in English, and they're learning both languages simultaneously. Another one is private school is the default, especially here in LA. I don't know a single one of my colleagues who send their kids to private school. K through 12 is the expectation. They're going to private school, likely paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for 2 or 3 of their kids to go to school every year. Then during the summers, I think it's amazing that the kids are not bored. They're not just sitting around every day at home. They're either at camp or they're traveling. And what's really cool about these camps is they are very enriching. So it's not just like survival skills, although that is really cool. There are leadership opportunities. A lot of the camps are program specific. So if your child wants to be a debater, or if they're really into theater, they're at camp building an entire production and stuff like that. And so that is amazing, because I felt like during the summers, you kind of lose a lot of stuff. You're not really doing a lot of work. You're not really, for me, it was just sports. And so the fact that these kids are getting like so much enrichment during the summer, that was something else that is really cool to me. Then on the travel component, a lot of times the families take family vacations, but I also recently learned about this thing like a travel tutor. Travel tutors you hire to go along on your family vacation with you, and they build out an agenda and come along with the family to basically give educational lessons to the children and the adults as well while they're traveling. So let's say you're going to Spain, the travel tutor will come to Spain with you, and then every day as you're going to the museums and you're going sightseeing and you're going out to different restaurants, the travel tutor will talk you through kind of like what's happening around you, the cultural context, the history of what you're seeing and eating and all of that. It happens naturally when you're traveling, don't get me wrong, but this other layer of it is also just so cool.
Before we continue, right, there's so much good stuff she's saying here, which I'm going to touch on, but I'm going to simplify this because I really like to simplify stuff, because once you simplify it, it's easy for everybody to understand it. And once you understand it, you can therefore take the action. So to simplify what she's saying, when I listen to what she's saying, and obviously, again, she's in a wealthy environment around wealthy people, she gets to see how they raise their children. One of the things you have to realize is, okay, cool, it's about preparing those children for what they believe and they desire their children to be in the future. So a good example of that was, you see what he's talking about in the summertime, it's not just time to play. You're going to be doing things which are going to keep your brain active, which is going to keep your brain in a position of creativity. Why? Because when you continue to think like that, when you continue to see new things, speaking to a nanny in a different language, it all creates creativity, it all creates level ups. This is what's so significant about what she's saying. And I can already see it. So many people who watch this are going to be saying to themselves, well, but I don't have a couple of 100,000 to be sending my children to private school. Which, okay, it's understandable, that may be the case, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't at least take the lesson from what that is. What is that really? You're going to a particular environment where there's going to be other wealthy children. So it's about the network. You may not have hundreds of thousands, but that's not the only way to connect or to be in the environment of people who are wealthy. Another way you can do this, which may not be as easy, but again, if you don't have the money, you have to think about alternative ways until you can have the money, is show yourself to be someone who is knowledgeable, is experienced, who is someone who's worthy to be networked with. Why? Because if you can't get into the room for whatever reason, there's people in the room who can come to you, who can find you, but you have to be doing things out there for people to actually see, right? Imagine you have a YouTube channel, for example, or imagine you have a blog, or imagine you have something which is where you get to showcase your excellence. People get to see that. When people see that, people can now start making decisions. Oh, maybe I want to connect with this individual. This person agrees with a lot of the stuff I agree with. There's many different ways you can do this. It's not the essence of what I'm basically saying is, when you see something in the road which seems like a roadblock, see it as an opportunity for you to find a solution which can help you still get to the same destination. Just because you're not in the room in a private school doesn't mean that you can't be wealthy, doesn't mean that you can't achieve success. There's so many walls that have been broken down in the day and age we live in. Thank God for stuff like the internet. Thank God for stuff like AI. Because yes, people that are evil are going to be using it. But at the same time, someone who's righteous, someone who's doing good stuff can use it as well in a way which can be very beneficial, in a way which can be very God honoring in just simple terms. Let's see what else she has to say. But so far, some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff she's saying is good, right? And really is just about preparing you for excellence, preparing you for success. See what she has to say.
Then when it comes to education, the minute that a child is struggling in any subject, tutors are brought in. When it comes to sports, they hire like Olympic athletes to one-on-one coach their kids if they're showing like a lot of promise in an area. Same thing with the arts, like they have private, they obviously are in like the...
And real quick, right? Every advantage has a disadvantage. Never forget this. So there are many beneficial advantages to having a top of the line coach, top of the line tutor, but that also brings a lot of disadvantages. And the same way, every disadvantage that you have provides an advantage for you as well.
Schools, bands and whatever, but they also have private one-on-one lessons. And so for me, it's really just seeing that like no amount of money is ever spared, and making sure that anything their kid is interested in is getting fully like achieved to the best of their ability. Like there is no amount of money that they won't spend to make sure that something their kid is interested in is able to be seen through by the child, right? And I think that's like honestly very dope. Another thing that is related to that is if the child notices something that doesn't exist, I have talked to several of my colleagues who just fund nonprofits or startups for their mostly high school age kids to run. And I think that is insane. Like, okay, there wasn't this like thing that exists. I don't want to be too specific to out anybody, but this thing didn't exist for one of my colleagues' daughters. And so they funded it, and now the child is running it and like is creating this thing that didn't previously exist. And I was like, wow, that is so cool, talking to him about it. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be a great story for her college essay. And I'm like, you know what? You're so right. It actually will be.
This might be the best thing she shared in the whole video. And the reason why is because it shows you very clearly. Wealthy people I've mentioned this earlier about preparation. Wealthy people prepare their children to be owners, to be in business, to be investors, not to be employees. This is the major difference. This is what she's explaining. They want their children to be creative. They want their children to think, right? And when the child has an idea, oh, I want to create something, I want to be an owner, they help them. They encourage them. Why? Because this is preparing them for what they desire for their children in the future. Not to be bound to a 9 to 5, not to be hoping and praying that it's good times all the time and there's no recession because you're going to get laid off. No. What business, what endeavor can you start which you can own and can produce you money on a regular basis? This is why I say, not that you have to quit your job, but your job better not be your only source of income. You better be working actively every single day on your own business in one way, shape or form, because a job isn't guaranteed. And it's not that a business is guaranteed, but if you hit it big in business, if you can have a business which is providing income for you, I promise you it will give you so much more free time to do the things you love and to spend more time with the people that you love. Trust me.
And I want to explain, like, I don't think these kids are in any way like spoiled or like they're privileged, obviously, but they're identifying really thoughtful things that are happening because of how much enrichment they have around them through travel, through friends who are doing the same thing and are in the same environments.
They have an abundance mindset. And as children of God, I don't ever understand. Well, I do understand, but we should have an abundance mindset because our Father is the God of abundance. So we should be tapping into the game that God gives us every single day. We should be wise. But if you don't, if you think that you are the child of the God of lack, then you're going to continue to perpetuate lack and think and expect lack and do things which produce lack, instead of think and expect and do things which produce abundance, like your Father in heaven.
And so it's not like they're just like spoiled and not doing anything. They're able to be really thoughtful because they're educated about the world around them. They're able to solve problems. It's just amazing. So those are just some of the things that come to mind. But yeah, it's really crazy kind of like how two worlds exist out there.
And the great thing about all of this as well, just to sum up, is they think and act differently. And I say this all the time. If you are someone who wants to get the wealthy, wise result, you need to think and act differently to the people that are being foolish. Guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and as always, don't forget to react righteously. God bless.